This week's Makeup Tip Tuesday has actually come by a request of one of our MisMacK'ers of recreating the gold look that I was rocking last week. So I'm going to show you how I created this look using salmon as our base, then Coco on the outside two edges of my corner to create that halo effect, and then having sunbeam right in the center. Because man, we need some sunshine. So let's bring some rays of sun to the eyes. Follow along. I do already have my base on, and I started it with the Hero Trio in our skincare. So a new trick that I have been using is our balm, of course, is our cleansing balm, eye makeup remover, wiping it away, and then nourishing skin oil, whipped moisturizer in the morning, and then slathering on our nourishing moisturizer. Like I'm talking, it's almost like white when I'm massaging it in, letting it marinate, and then applying my foundation. And that literally is giving me this glow during this winter season. I highly, highly, highly recommend adding this guy. She hasn't got love in a long time, so I highly recommend adding this to your routine this winter. Okay, enough about skincare. We're gonna go right into eyes. So I do have my Depuff and Prime on. It's nice and tacky. So I'm gonna go in with Salmon, starting in the center of my eye, of the lid, and then blending up. This one also works really well as a color corrector in that inner corner of the eye. Look at that. Like that's wild. And just a little bit down here. So starting this as our base, and then working up, applying a good little coat right in that inner corner to brighten that blue. Next, I'm going to take Coco, and I'm going to use that all over blending brush. I'm going to use that same one, and I'm starting from the outside edge, lining it up with my last lash, and then building it up as Lulu walks behind me. In her pink sweater. So lightly, you can see I'm not like swiping, I'm doing little pats, making sure that this doesn't go past my iris, and I'm starting to go up on an angle from my last lash, blending it off right at my brow bone, and then kind of pushing it into that lifting effect. Now I'm taking the edge of the brush. Notice I'm not applying any more product. I'm lightly blending it up. So it's kind of like a cat eye effect, basically, or not like cat eye, sorry. Like a cat eye, like the actual eyeball effect. So now I'm just gonna add another little bit of a layer in there, a little bit more pigment, and tap, tap, tap. Okay? So then I'm gonna take a little bit more pigment, and I'm gonna do the same, starting in that inner corner, tapping it up, not going past my iris. So I'm leaving this blank, and you can do this. So this is called the traditional halo eye. You can do this with any color palette. So having that darker on the outside, lighter in the center. I'm using Coco, which is a nice neutral, little bit warmer matte brown. Matte, very, very important. When you're doing this, you'll get a better effect and more definition when you're using a matte dark color on the outside and then using a shimmer on the inside to have that highlight reflect and to push that forward. So doing this in little layers. This is not a race. This one you want to take a little bit more time, light strokes, blending that edge. You want to come up over that hood, right? We're coming up over that inner corner of the hood. And now I'm lightly taking the tip of my brush and connecting it to the next one, to that one on the outside. I'm lightly blending that inner portion of the eye. And then again, it's a layered game. So I'm gonna go back into this side, and I'm just gonna kind of build up the intensity, but I'm patting, I'm not swiping. I'm just wanting to build up that intensity. Once I got my blend down, then you go in and you build it up. So now we're gonna do the same to the other eye. So when I go to do the other eye, I'm not doing my over the chest technique. I'm coming in just lightly across my nose, tapping it, and then tapping up into that layer game and matching it to my right side. Of course, you're gonna have one side that's way easier to do than the other. If this happens, I always find my left side's a little bit more trickier to blend to get that nice blend. So I will have on hand a clean crease brush just to blend my edges, because I don't want to keep adding product with this guy. I just want to keep blending it, blending the pigment, not adding more pigment. So again, we're layering it to match it up. Once you get both sides done, this is what we're looking for. So if you tilt your chin back, that's a really great way to check your symmetry. So going back, now remember, it doesn't have to be like super perfect. It's kind of like a high fashion, a little bit messy, but yet still kind of, you can tell that there's some control in that. Takes time. This is a bit more of an advanced eye technique, but I literally only used Coco and the all over blending brush and Salmon to set. So now I'm going to connect the bottom first. So little press and pull downs, starting on that outside, connecting it all the way in. And for this look, I am actually going to take a little bit of my brush. I'm going to do just the inner portion of my waterline. So once our art shadows get wet, they do have a staining effect, just to like soften and give that smoky effect to the eye, right at that lash. Now, if you're finding that there's quite a lightness or a contrast right at the base of your lashes, sometimes that happens, really push more product in at the very top base of your lashes to bring it all together. So of course, do the same on the other side. So I'm also really loving this look just with Salmon in the center when it's nice and matte. Again, options. You have options with this look. I'm gonna go in though with Sunbeam to give us some like ray of sunshine during this time of year. So I'm taking the detailed brush now. Detailed brush is nice and snappy, really great for applying dark colors or for getting that highlight effect when you're using any shimmer. Now there is a technique to this. So I'm gonna get it nice and damp, not super wet. So when it's yours, you just go right into your sink, dab it off, go right into your pan. I'm gonna start behind my eyeball and I'm pressing down. So I'm not just patting. I'm starting up and I'm pressing down. This is what gives you that really beautiful highlight effect, that like chrome cast. And then cleaning it off, and then using the edge to buff together. Actually, no. Using this when it's still wet to try to blend, you're gonna have some difficulty. So go in with your clean, small crease brush and just buff the edges together. Careful, because this is so pigmented that you can take that gold right over your edges and it's a completely different look. So you have to have that little, just tiny little in control movements to create that effect. And important that you have this above the crease so you see it when you look straight. So that's gonna open the eye up and give you that cat eye effect. So I got my first line going right up and down. Now I'm taking that small crease brush that's clean and it's almost like a press, very lightly blurring out that edge. So I'm not moving it, I'm just blurring that edge out around into Coco. Okay, now that the shadow's done, we're just gonna go in and do a simple, nothing fancy liner with the Amped Up mascara and the liner brush. So I'm not doing a winged liner on this. I'm just going in and doing my runway because I am gonna put a lash on. So starting in that center, little connections and applying that pigment, coming down into the inner corner. So when I do my liner though, I am gonna go over my chest on my left side so I can get the right angle of the brush with the tip pointing down into the inner, and then little stamps to complete it. All right, so mascara, top and bottom, And with this look, you could totally rock just a mascara, but I am gonna put a lash on for this look. Okay, I got my one side of my lash on, so I'm gonna go into the other one. So with our lash tool, having that base pointing down into the lash, I'm gonna hold that for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna grab that inner corner and I'm gonna push it down for 5. So you see that liner above the base of the lash, and then grabbing the tip of the outside and then pushing it down into the bottom part of the lash. For my under eye brightener, I'm actually gonna cheat. I'm gonna use Salmon and a clean all over blending brush, and I'm actually just gonna go in and set right at my dark circle instead of making that miracle under eye brightener. This has been working really, really well for me, just to brighten that blue on that inner portion of the eye. So next we'll go in and we'll do some cheeks. Contour, shade with the contour brush, loading the entire whiteness of the brush, wiping off, starting at our tragus, hugging under that bone, going straight forward, tip to temple, pulling back, and then under the jaw. One pickup per side, dust, 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 forward, back, and then under your jaw. Cheek color. This has been a really fun bronzing effect to the skin using Sunbeam and Alluring. So I know we don't have an official bronzer in MisMac, but you can make your own, especially having Sunbeam now. So I'm gonna take the soft blending brush, we're gonna go into Sunbeam once, we're gonna go into Alluring, and then we're gonna go back into Sunbeam. You're gonna tap it off, and we're going to apply to the cheeks. So this gives like a really pretty bronzing effect. Remember, we can always add, we can't take away, so start off nice and soft, and then build it up. That beautiful glow, like that sun-kissed glow, like pretending we're in Mexico on your cheeks. So starting on the apple, going back. There we have it. So just gonna add a little bit more alluring to that side. And then it's a layer game, depending on where you're wanting. There's that little bit of a sun-kiss look to the skin. And then just adding Sassy J to the look to complete this Makeup Tip Tuesday. So that is it for this week. This look came to you by request from one of our MisMacK'ers when she saw my story last week of this look that I created. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned some tips and tricks. Please recreate it and then tag us because we would love to see it. So again, recapping the colors, I only actually have 4 colors that I'm using today. Salmon, starting it, that's what brightened the inner corner too, and then as my base. Coco is in my outer corners, Sunbeam is in the center, and then on my cheeks is Sunbeam and Alluring to give that really beautiful bronzing effect. So head on over to the website, shop the looks. If you are in one of our locations, you can, I'm gonna give you a little sneaky peeky that you can get these individually, just on our website yet. So if you are one of our MisMacK'ers that are wanting these, or if you're wanting to grab one of the new colors on its own, send us a message and we can invoice you. So whether you're closer to Victoria, Kelowna, or Salmon Arms, shoot us a message and we'll send you an invoice and get those into the mail for you. So thank you so much, and we will see you next week.